Hello and good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Susie Beiler and I'm talking about how to handle projections. You know that thing that happens when someone yells at you or screams at you, throws their emotion onto you, when someone tells you, you should do this, or you should go to school, or you should do that, that shoulding that sometimes we do to each other. I want to share with you how to handle that because it happens all the time and most people aren't even actually aware when they are projecting onto you. In fact, you might not be aware if you are projecting onto someone else. So basically, anytime you use the word should and you tell somebody you should do this, that's a projection. That's your belief system that says, this would be good for you, or I know best, so I'm going to tell you what to do. So if that happens for you, just check in and notice like maybe that's not the way to approach things. You can invite somebody in, or you can offer something to someone, but to tell somebody you should do something is not the best approach. But what I'm covering in this video is if someone does it to you. So it's story time. Hey Nicole, good to see you here. Yesterday I went to the creek, and I go to the creek for healing, for balancing myself, and also to offer healing energies to the waters, because a lot of tourists come here to Sedona and go to the creek and leave their messy energies all throughout the land and the creek and all this. So I do a lot of transmuting work at the creek. And I'm sitting on a rock and I can feel this energy to my left, and it was just not the best energy. So I just wanted to do some transmuting work with that. So I start toning, and I hear this voice. I'm kind of like in the zone, right? I hear this voice like saying, hey you, hey you. And I eventually get it that she's talking to me, so I open my eyes and I look over, and there's this very angry woman that begins to yell at me, be quiet, you're being too loud, I'm trying to meditate over here, just like projecting all this anger onto me. Now, because I'm an empath and because I'm super ultra sensitive, all of her energy went through my body. I could just feel every cell in my body just kind of come to this alert this alert state. And it was very intense energy that she was throwing at me. And of course the irony is that I was working with myself, feeling the energies of safety, because I'm about to bring some very big information into the world, and in other lifetimes when I've done this, I've been killed, persecuted, blah 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 blah. So in my cellular memory, there's still more safety for me to cultivate within my being. So I was working with those energies when this happens. Of course, it's always perfect divine timing, right? So, oh, Candace, thank you for sharing the video. I really appreciate it. So I was sitting there and she's yelling at me, and typically when something like this happens to me, I'll just walk away. I gave up my addiction to drama years ago. I don't need that kind of energy, in me, around me, anything like that. But there was this voice that was like, stand your ground, stay centered, stay here, keep doing what you're doing, because she was trying to squash my expression, and that's not okay. And just because she was angry and upset because I guess my voice disturbed her meditation, that doesn't give her the right to dim my light. And it was very clear to me what was going on, and so I just continued toning. Well, of course she got more angry about that, because she was already angry about me interrupting her, or however it was that it happened for her. And, started calling me names and, things I won't repeat. And I'm just, feeling all this energy. So I just kept doing my thing. And, of course, the irony too was I was almost complete with the toning, but because more energy was coming at me, all this anger and her frustration, I needed to keep going to transmute that. So I finished my toning, and then, she was very upset and whatever. And, after a while I went in the water, wanted to cleanse some of the energy off. And as I was toning, I was just very, working to get back to center, stay in a loving space, stay in my power, I didn't yell back, of course, any of that. Just really stayed in my own space, and then went in the water. And then I came back onto the rock, and I looked at her, and I motioned for her to come join me. And I said, come join me on the rock. And she just looked at me like, deer in the headlights, like, what is this woman inviting me to do? Because she had called me all these names and said it was all these horrible things. And I said, come join me on the rock. And she just looked at me. And so I motioned again. I said, yeah, come on, come join me on the rock. And she just, like, she didn't know what to say, And so I just, one more time, I was like, yeah, come sit with me on the rock. And she just looked at me and she's like, no, I can't. You're too much of a bee. And I was like, oh, okay, well. So I just let it go, So the point in me sharing this story is because there are many lessons in this story. So I want to share with you, because this woman was projecting her anger, her frustration, her hurt, whatever it was she was feeling, she was throwing it all at me. And I could tell it was, like months, years of buildup. I don't know how much was in there, but it was a lot that she was throwing at me. And I could have responded back to her like she was responding to me. I could have yelled at her. I could have, whatever. But I was allowing her to be in her expression, whatever she wanted to do, whatever she wanted to say. That's her choice. I was allowing that for her. So when someone projects on you, the first thing is to know yourself, to know who you are as love, to know who you are as light, to know who you are as a strong, centered, powerful being, to know what your purpose is, to know just all these things about yourself, to know yourself, so that when the energy that's not you comes at you and to you, you can stay centered within your own energy. And I talk a lot about being with your own energy. I've done a video or two about being with your own energy. You can find that on YouTube if you want to watch that. It's very important, especially right now with all the chaos that's happening on the planet, all of the shadow that's coming, into illumination, and all of these energies that are coming to the surface and being shown and revealed and felt by people. When they were undercover, they weren't felt as much, but now it's really coming all out there. So it's really important to be with your energy, to know your soul essence, so that when something that's not that comes towards you, you can stay centered with your own energy. And so, of course, as I was sitting on the rock and she was yelling at me, I was practicing that. I was like, okay, how does it feel to be with my energy right now? Because her energy is like coming fast and furious at me. How does my energy feel? And my energy was completely different than hers. So for me to be able to feel my energy in the midst of her yelling at me was very, very powerful for me. So the next thing when someone is projecting at you is to check in, to see, is this something I need to look at within myself? Because before, when anger would come at me in that way, I would be very fearful and really just want to run away. But because of my process with integrating anger, I was able to be, we had some, geographical distance between us, but I was able to be centered in my space when it came towards me. So when I say check in with yourself, what I mean is to look within to see, is this something that I need to look at? Because sometimes projections come at you because there's a vibrational match within you. sometimes projections come at you because you are standing up in service to offer transmutation or to hold space for someone. So I just encourage you to be discerning with that law of attraction thing. Just because something like that comes to you doesn't mean that that's a vibration that you hold within you. I just went through this with a friend and she said it's okay to share this. She was just recently raped. And, of course, she's asking herself, why did this happen to me? Is there something within me that's attracting this? And I was like, no, you are standing up for women and being powerful in this situation because this is part of your soul purpose. This is not because something that, you're not valuing yourself or something like that you would attract something like this. That's not what this is about for you. So it's important to check in and ask the question, is there something that I need to learn from this? Is there something that I need to see about myself within this? Is there, is this person's projection showing me something within myself that I haven't seen yet, and they're just acting as a mirror for me? So there are many possibilities within that, and you need to, I would invite you, not you need to, see, I caught myself, I almost projected on you. I would invite you to check in with yourself to ask those kinds of questions when someone throws energy at you or their emotions or tells you should do something or you should be something or something like that. So check in with yourself and ask, is there something that I need to see within myself? And it may be just that you were holding space. So for me yesterday, I was holding space for this person's expression and for her to release some anger. And she was also providing a gift for me, allowing me to strengthen my energy in the midst of chaos, in the midst of intense emotion. So it was a gift for me. And so another thing you can do when someone projects on you is to offer them gratitude. Thank you for helping me get clear. Because if someone's telling you you should do something and it doesn't resonate, it helps you to get clear. Yeah, that's not for me. Or if someone tells you should do something and it does resonate, that helps to bring clarity. So we always offer that person gratitude for their projection. Now, that's not always an easy part. To be honest, when this happened with me, I was a bit shaken up. Every cell in my body was vibrating. It was like, I was activated, but that's okay. It gave me an opportunity to practice my mastery. And so I was like, oh my goodness, thank you so much, sweetheart. I didn't say this to her out loud. This would, of course, probably made her more angry. But thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to practice my mastery. Thank you so much for seeing where my edges are so that I can expand and grow myself and evolve and become even more powerful with my own energy. Thank you. And so I'm so grateful to this woman. And another piece of this, I forgot this part of the story. I wanted to, I invited her onto the rock partly because I wanted her to know, I have no hard feelings towards you for what you've just done. But also, it was a little self-serving because I noticed within myself that I wanted to soothe the energy within me because it was very jolting. And I quickly got very clear that that doesn't need to involve her. What I can do is practice that self-nourishment, that self-soothing. She doesn't need to play a role. Like, she already played her role. Now, if she wanted to come on the rock, that would have been awesome. We could have had this really maybe cool conversation, maybe some healing for her, But that wasn't the most important thing. My responsibility for me was to find that soothing energy within myself, not need something from her. And so that was kind of like a little aha for me as well, because I notice when people project on me, I want to kind of talk it out with them and explain it to them so that I'm, not that I'm justified, but that I'm maybe validated, or, I want people to understand me, understand where I'm coming from. And that's not important, actually. The only one who needs to understand me is me. So to extrapolate that lesson when someone projects on you, to notice if there's something within yourself that needs to be, that wants to be validated, or that wants to be justified, or if you feel a need to defend yourself. All of those things are something you can go within to address. You're not going to get that from the other person. In fact, if you try to get that from the other person, that's a form of energetic reaching, and then you're just reversing the projection and doing it back on them. So always looking within when this happens is a really great idea. I can't tell you how many times I've had people tell me I should do ayahuasca ceremony, and I'm clear, I don't need ayahuasca ceremony. I do my inner work. Been on this journey for a long time. I have ways of getting clear. I don't need a ceremony to see myself or whatever purpose it might serve. And every time someone has told me that, like, there's this piece within me that's like I want to explain it to them. And it's like, no, I don't need to explain it to them. I just need to know who I am. So it's the same for you guys. I'm sharing a lot of story this time because it's kind of fresh. But it's the same for you guys. If someone projects on you, you just need to know yourself, understand yourself. You don't need them to understand why you are responding the way you are. Okay, I just want to see if there's anything else I want to say about that. The bottom line after you do that inner work and find out, if there is something you need to learn from this, is to just fill yourself with love, emanate that love, send them love. They may or may not receive it, but to be unattached to how they respond. And what I'm saying requires a lot of mastery, a lot of practice. I'm not saying this is easy. I've kind of warmed up to this, all the horrible comments on my YouTube channel or whatever. It's one thing to respond in love to someone who's on the other side of the world who's just writing a comment on a YouTube channel. It's another thing when someone's right beside you screaming at you and calling you names. And I know a lot of you have been through this, and you may still experience this. And this is something that rarely happens in my world because of how much density and belief systems and stuff that I've cleared and rewired within myself and all of that. But when it does happen, there's always something for me to look at and to ask. And so it's the same for you. When this happens, it's an opportunity to practice your mastery. It's not a test. If you think the universe is testing you, that's a form of victimhood. It's not a test. It's just an opportunity to practice mastery. That's all. It's not anything personal towards you. It's just the alignment of your soul and what you're ready to learn and the next level you're ready to step into. And so you get the chance to practice your mastery. So if someone's telling you should do something, if someone's throwing their emotion onto you, be with your energy. Get centered in your heart. Get centered with love. Get centered with your energy. Allow them to have their expression. If they want to yell, as long as they're not, abusing you, that's a whole different topic, you guys. That's a whole different thing. But allow them to be in their expression. Allow them to yell, to scream, to call you names, whatever. And again, the abuse thing, if you are being verbally or emotionally abused, that's a whole different subject. Yes, what happened yesterday bordered on verbal abuse, but nothing that I couldn't handle. And, she wasn't any physical threat to me. So just, let it be at that. The bottom line is to find love within the situation. At the very least, to love yourself. And then allow that love to expand within you, to emanate from you. And who knows, maybe even that person can receive love from you on some level. So if you guys have any questions about this, I haven't really been looking much at the comments because I wanted to stay focused. But if you have any questions about what I've shared, please put those in the comments below so that I can answer those and help you out. Does anyone have any questions about what I've shared so far with projections? I'll just wait a second here to see if any comments show up. do 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 do. Thank you, Kristen. By the way, you guys, Kristen, you reminded me, the crystal grid for our retreat is growing. I'm just see if I can, come on, there we go. Okay, so here we have the crystal grid for the retreat, and the little yellow tags that you see are people's names who have expressed their calling and desire to attend the retreat, October 19th through 22nd here in Sedona, Arizona. So if you're feeling called to attend the retreat, there are some crystals left that are blank, and I can put your name on there. Just simply write your name, and see if I can turn this back around again now. There we go. If you're feeling called to attend the retreat, just drop your name in the comments below saying, yes, I would like to attend the retreat, and I will put your name on one of the crystals, and that physicalizes your energy here in Sedona so that we can clear the pathway for easier manifesting for you to get to the retreat. I'm infusing that crystal grid with magic and miracles. Yes, Kristen, your pathway here is being infused with magic and miracles. So if you are meant to be here, hopefully that pathway will be easier for you. So this is one of the ways we're co-creating and manifesting the retreat together. Isn't that fun? I love it. So if you feel called to join us for the Unlock Your Power retreat, drop your name below and I'll put you in the crystal grid. So much love, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this teaching today. And if you haven't seen the beginning of the video and you have no clue what I'm talking about, I invite you to go back to the beginning and watch the whole video because there's good juicy bits at the beginning. All right, love you guys. I will see you in the next video. Mwah. Katarina, yes, got it. I will put your name in the grid. All right, much love, you guys.